Hello everyone, and welcome to my brief review on the Bushnell Elite 15 to 45 power spotting scope. This particular spotting scope is part of the Elite series from Bushnell, and it weighs in at about 27.1 ounces. It's 13 inches long, and at the objective it is 2 3/4 inches wide. The scope itself comes with a front cover that's pretty nice. It's a rubber cover and it stays put, and the rear cover by the eyepiece is a plastic cover that is removable. This particular scope is a very compact scope, and it is I'd say one of its main features is its compactness. Like I said, it's only 13 inches long, and if I were to place a dollar bill here, you can see a little perspective of the size. It's a nice size, especially when you compare it to the big 100mm scopes. So it weighs a fraction and is a fraction of the overall length and width of those large 80, 100mm spotters. So a little bit easier on your tripod, and just easier to handle in the field, when you're bird watching or target shooting, whatever it is you may be doing with this scope. This particular model is something that you can kind of throw in a pack and take along with you without having to have a separate luggage container for it. But anyways, I'll go over some more features of the scope. It's got a nice rubber coating on the outside. I really like that. It is scratch resistant, and it should hold up pretty well. It also helps provide some grip when handling the scope, so your fingers don't slip off the surface easily. There's some nice texturing up here by the logo. It also helps maneuvering the scope, and also more importantly, back here by the eyepiece, there's a nice grippy textured surface for manipulating the magnification ring, which is the forward ring right here. You can see it's labeled from 15 power, 20 power, 30 power, 40, and 45 power. And then right behind that is the eyepiece adjustment ring, the focus ring. And so when you dial this into a particular power, let's say 30 power, you'll then rotate the eyepiece focus ring to get that picture perfectly clear. Moving on to lens clarity, I will say that it is very good with this spotter. It was very clear, very high resolution. I was very happy with the overall performance of the lens for the price point. As of 2013, this scope was around $450 or so, perhaps $475 with shipping. And like I said, the resolution is great. The light transmission is very good. So I was happy with that aspect. One negative I will say about this spotter, and I think this is very important, is the eye relief on this is very poor at the higher magnifications. So you can see, down here at 15, the lowest magnification, that really wasn't an issue. However, moving up past, I'd say 25 power, getting close to 30 power, the eye relief is so short that you have to have your eye really kissing the eyepiece. And in a lot of cases, your eyelash will actually be rubbing up against the lens there, and it can be a little difficult to get a sight picture that way. If anything, it's just a little tiring. After a while, you get sort of tired of having to suction cup your eye against the eyepiece. But if you keep it down towards the lower magnifications, you're fine. Like I said, anything 50 up to around 30 power. And as is the case with a lot of spotting scopes, I find that the higher powers are kind of wishful thinking, so once you get up there to within 75% or so of your maximum power, the extra magnification really doesn't do a whole lot. And it's kind of almost like with sleeping bags, you know, guys. Like, you go to the store at Target or Costco or whatever, and you buy your sleeping bag, and it's rated to, like, you know, 32 degrees, and you're outside on a nice summer night and it gets down to like 55 degrees and you're freezing, right? And you need to have a blanket or something, or a couple blankets with you. It's kind of the same thing. You basically, like sleeping bags, you know, you take off 25 degrees. Your spotting scope really take off, I'd say, 25% of the magnification, the upper end of the magnification range, for the lower end and medium end spotting scopes, because you're kind of almost just zooming in on ocular distortions, and you get more purple fringing and just looking at, you know, signs from real far away. I did take this out to the coast, to the beach, and also went to a nearby estuary. And looked at a bunch of wildlife, a bunch of birds, and even looked at you know, street signs and other signs that were posted about 300 to 400 yards away. And you know, the sides of buildings, you know, labeling on buildings. And to be honest, I couldn't really make out anything more with the real high magnification. I'd say anything over 30 power, I really couldn't make out anything more than you know, than if I was on 15 power. So, you know, 15-20 power, it seems like I could get all the info and read all the signs and see all the sort of details that I could with 30 to 40 to 45 power. And of course, the field of view was much nicer, and it was easier to gather information through the lens at one time. You know, a larger field of view, you're gonna be able to see everything at once, as opposed to having to pan and scan around constantly to find what you're looking at. So yeah, I think the larger magnification ranges on these spotting scopes, you know, the Bushnell Elite, a couple other ones that I reviewed, are kind of wishful thinking. So that said, the eye relief problem is not as big of an issue. However, since they do have the larger magnification on here, you know, it's like you're always trying to get, once you do find something you really want to look at in detail, it seems like you're always kind of, you know, flipping to or twisting to the maximum power. And that's where the eye relief really comes into play and is really critical, because when you're at this thing at 45 power, you almost have to tilt your head and kind of like tilt your, you know, rotate your head just so that you can get your eyeball nice and flush with this eyepiece, so that the bridge of your nose isn't bumping into the side of the eyepiece. And it can just make it a little cumbersome and a little bit, I guess, not as user-friendly as scopes with more generous eye relief. So that's my my bit on the eye relief. Overall, I'd say this is a very, very high quality scope and spotting scope, and I would recommend this spotting scope. Just keep in mind that you're probably gonna be limited to lower magnifications. If you really want to dial into something higher, I would recommend getting something with a little bit better eye relief. But overall, the quality of just the build quality and the lens quality is terrific on this. Okay, thanks a lot. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.